Hi friends, it's Tracy from the Financial Freedom Diary, and today in this sip and serve, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk about getting ready for the PMP exam. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing below. And if you know somebody who may be interested in this information, please share this video with them. You guys know that I recently sat for my PMP exam. I also passed it, so I wanted to make sure I shared like my study material and the exam process and how it was like for me. The exam in 2021 is going to change, so the way I did my application, it may be different for you because you're going to be the application may change up some as far as like I had to do the process groups across all of my projects, and you may have to use the domain areas, which is different, and just document how you perform certain functions in those domain areas. So if you are like, what the heck is she talking about? Like in the process groups, you got initiating, and part of it is the project charter. And so I remember documenting the project charter and documenting high level assumptions and risks in that project charter. So that was part of the initiating phase in one of my projects. So I'm already knee deep in it. We're going to jump right into it. I am under the certifications section and on PMP under PMI, and this is PMI.org. I have a membership with PMI. I pay for my PMI membership and my local Memphis chapter, and it cost me $154 total. I believe my Memphis chapter may be $20 out of that. So it's a good benefit for the discounts that I've gotten. The PMP exam costs $405 with the membership and $555 if you don't have a membership. If you need the newest version of the PMBOK, which is the Project Management Body of Knowledge, if you don't have a membership, it is $99. And if you have a membership, I remember paying $61.49. And that's before tax. I would also recommend going to your manager, checking your guidelines and books and stuff like that, and checking see what will they cover as far as your study material. They may cover a portion of your study material, but you may have to give that back to the company when you're done. And also for the PMP exam, also check and make sure that they will pay for that once you pass. Some of them, they're like, okay, if you didn't pass, we're not paying for it, but we will pay for the one that you actually passed. So it's good to know that. I still have to check with my job to see, okay, is there a raise or anything that goes along with it? I kind of doubt it, but I'm going to ask anyway. And on their website, they do have like where you can look up and see what's changing about the PMP exam, the online exam, since we're in this whole shing-ding right now. It is good, and you have to make sure, you clear your room and all that goodness. Also understand, like, what do you have to have before you fill out your application? You need to either have a 4-year degree or a high school diploma. Associate's degree will work, master's degree will work. You need to have like 36 months leading projects if you have a 4-year degree. If you have a high school diploma, you have to have 60 months leading projects. So you actually have to have been the project manager. Now, does it need to be your job title? No, because my job title does not have project manager in it. It's part of the job function that I do, but I have the same job title that I had when I did development full time. So there's that, but you just want to make sure that's a part of your function. And that's another reason why, like, whatever projects you're going to have on your application, you want to communicate with your management team to let them know what you're claiming, so therefore they can, okay, yeah, I remember you did this, I remember this, oh, you forgot this, because they may have some feedback for you to kind of help your application. It doesn't allow a lot of words, but I remember there being a minimum because I try to keep mine really concise for each project, and I remember needing to add a little bit more to meet the minimum number of words that was needed for my application. But you can see that information, how to meet the qualifications, all on PMI.org. They explain all of that. And they do audit. So just beware that if they do audit you, you have so much time to submit whatever they need to back up your application to sit for the PMP exam. Now, for the CAPM has also changed, because I sat for this like back in 2011, and that's a long time. But man, it's like February 2011 too, so that'd been like 10 years ago. But nobody asked for all that. So the prerequisites here for the CAPM, you see the cost is $225, and you need like a secondary degree, high school diploma, and 23 hours of project management education. And another thing I wanted to say, so if like I took project management in college in undergrad, that satisfied my education. It's still on there as my education right now. I also took some Pluralsight courses. They had a PMP track on Pluralsight, and my company bought like so many licenses, and our team got those. So there's one that's assigned to me, and so I was able to take the classes on Pluralsight, and I could have used that, but when I came back, my old stuff was still in my application, so I didn't add it in there. There was no need in doing that. I also wanted to let you guys know that if you, let's say like for me, I had a couple of projects running at the same time, that time period only counts once. So even though it was 2 projects, it's only going to get counted once. That month, it's only one time for one of the projects. They determined that when I did the application, and so there was nothing that I needed to do. But I did want to let you guys know that PMI.org also has a store, and so you can look at their books there. And if you're in North America, you can shop here. If you're outside of North America, it's there. And they also have stuff on Amazon. I am not a big with Amazon and certain books. You have to be very, very careful, because I have experienced on Amazon where I was looking for some text and they put the cover of that book on the outside, but on the inside it was photocopied. So for me, when it came to, since this is an exam and it was going to cost me a nice little chunk of change, I made sure I went right to the site, because you want to make sure that the vendor is actually the company that's selling it. And so they have the PMBOK here. They're on the 6th edition right now, but you do want to come back to PMI.org probably every 2 to 3 months, just to check and make sure everything is as it should be. You don't want to pay. Well, no, you don't want to be studying or go to one of those like a boot camp and stuff like that, and then the time lapses on the version that you study for, and there's something new coming up next. That's why I took my exam in December. So the next site I'm going to take you guys to is going to be RMC, and this is where I got all of my study material. When I was looking for study material, I had a director who told me to use Rita Mulcahy's exam prep. She told me about the book and the flashcards. She said that was all she used, and she had passed the PMP first time right off the bat. For me, I did the book, I did the flashcards, and I also did the CD, because I would have that playing in the car driving to work, and I also had the cloud practice test. And so for Rita Mulcahy's study material, they do not sell on Amazon. And so you want to be careful if you see anything on Amazon, because sometimes what they'll do is either they're selling you something that may be used, or something that doesn't meet the version that's out there now, but they've changed the cover, or they photocopy all of the pages and they just put the binding on it so you don't have the original. And if you buy that, RMC does not refund you for whatever it is that you got off of Amazon, because they specifically state that they don't sell on Amazon. They have classes, online classes, e-learning and cloud products. So if that's your way of learning, they do have that out there. It's pretty costly, pretty costly. I went with the books and stuff like that because it was within my price range, and I also had sat with my manager, and so we got to look at it and see the cost, and then they reimbursed me for certain things that I had ordered. But yeah, you got the simulation is really, really good. So it kind of shows you where you're weak in certain areas. And it is amazing to kind of see a simulation and you see, like, okay, you got like a 75 and it's like a green, and then like, that's good. But in the PMP world, that is good. It's kind of weird to kind of wrap your mind around that, but yeah, it's the whole thing. It was like, that is not good, but it is. But you can buy the parts separate, or you can get a bundle. Make sure you understand your bundle though. You want to make sure that you understand if your book is on the cloud, if if all the parts are on the cloud, or if you're going to get some kind of physical product. I know, like the fast track, that is definitely cloud based, and you kind of log in and it has a timer for the 6 months once you activate it to use that particular product. And I did that, and I actually am glad that I did. So it looks like the new edition is the 10th edition, and so I probably have the 9th edition. So I am going to stop sharing my screen, but I wanted to kind of let you guys see the price range of all of this stuff. It can be pretty pricey, so that's what I'm saying. Take that in consideration. The cost of the exam, the cost of the latest PMBOK, and then see what your company is willing to reimburse. But I am going to switch to just you guys looking at me, and I am going to show you my study material without sharing my screen. Okay, so I have all my things here, everything except for my notebook that I actually used. Now, when I purchased what I have, I at first had a hard time kind of getting a grip of whether I was really absorbing everything. I was taking a practice test. I was doing okay in some areas, not as well as I expected in other areas. And I had to find a rhythm and a flow. So first, we're going to see what I got. So I have the CD. Let's see, yeah. The light is putting a glare on that. So I got this CD, and this works really good like in my car and stuff like that. This is the one where I had to go and get a co-worker's CD-ROM thing so I can actually play this on my computer while I worked, because I wanted to play and I didn't have anything at home. Hot Topics. This is like the flashcards. Now this is more built like your PMBOK. Okay, and that's the weird part to this. This is all copyrighted, so I can't like read all this stuff off of here because I'm not trying to get my video yanked out by YouTube or any copyright strikes and stuff like that, because you know how they go. But it actually has questions on here, and then on the back of the page you have the answers. So they might ask about the inputs to the stakeholder management process. They might ask you what an organizational process asset is. They may ask you what is padding and stuff like that. And then they have the definitions for those words on the back of the card in here. But this is like paper. I call it a card because that's what I expect it to be, but it's paper. This comes in really handy for me when, let's say I had the dentist. I would sit there and just go through whatever chapter I was studying at that point in time. Another thing that I have here is my PMBOK. You'll see I don't have a lot of tabs and designating my pages in here, But in here, I documented like my inputs and outputs. I actually wrote them down. If when you get to like the tools and techniques, you'll start to see a recurrence of things. So I will write down the tools and techniques that I didn't understand and get the definitions and stuff like that. Now, the next thing I have is this big boy. And this is my PMP exam prep. So, the first time out the gate, like early this year, I had a hard time. I was just not processing. And then when I would hear the concepts again on the CD, I couldn't anticipate what the answer would be when she would ask questions. And I'm like, I should know this because I'm beyond that chapter. Why don't I know this? There are pieces in here, but it's very, very conversational. And I don't mean it like she's missing stuff, but there are things that are going to be specifically spelled out in the PMBOK. Is very well documented. The tone in this one is very conversational. So where they say inputs, they say, oh, you're going to need so and so and so and so for this output. But they might not even say input or output. It's like, okay, to make this, you're going to need X, Y, and Z. It's very conversational, and it just kind of listed out, might look like one sentence, but it's actually your inputs and outputs from the PMBOK. And then maybe that one sentence that's missing that they may not bring up in here, but you better believe it'll be in one of the questions. I found that during my study time, it was better for me to read the PMBOK first, then go to the chapter in the book. Now, at the very beginning of it, that order didn't work for me. I would read the chapter here, or I would look and say, okay, what page number are they telling me to go to in the PMBOK? And then look and see what the next page is, and then go into the PMBOK, read it, and then come back and read from here. I know you're going to see all the tabs. I have lots of tabs in here, but the top tabs just meant which chapter, and this was all the exams and any special graphs and stuff that I needed to pay attention to. What I liked the most in here was there was a game in here. She has a chart in here that you can cut out, but she also has it on the website. So on the RMC website, they have this chart. And this right here, this piece right here, yes. Because to me, knowing what belongs where and the planning, understanding that there was a specific order and being able to put things in order, that helped me when they said what comes before this or what comes after that. If you got to this point, what should you have done then? Understanding that there was an order to the things that needed to be done, and she covered it in here. I felt like the questions in here were harder than the questions on the exam. The questions in here were super, super tricky, but when you get the exam, it was similar. So it was like I was used to the format, so I wasn't intimidated right off the bat. Like question number 1 straight out the gate, I was just like, oh, okay. And next thing I know, I had done 89 questions and it was time for a break. And I think that this was what geared me up for that. And I think I did tell you guys, I may have or may not have mentioned it. Like for me, I found that by leading projects at my job and things that we did not do at the company, that was my weakest areas when I was studying, and I had to put a little bit more time into it at a bare minimum, because there's 14 or 15 chapters in here, because the 15th chapter is just your tips for passing the exam, and a bare minimum, I would say 6 weeks. Bare minimum. But I would go a little bit more than that and try to give yourself some time per chapter, because the first few are not going to be that hard, but as you get into it, it's going to require a lot more. And so, yeah, the exam was challenging, but I did feel like this was I feel like this was more challenging to me. I'm going to be so happy to go and take this thing to work and stick it up on a bookshelf and be like, I ain't never got to open that thing again. But yeah, and there are some requirements I have to do, some PDUs I have to do to maintain my certification over the next 3 years. And so I'm going to go ahead and start getting ready with all of that and figure out what I have to do, but that's just the next phase. And I wanted to share that for you. But my study materials, the 9th edition. And remember, on that site, they're on the 10th edition. And that's the kind of stuff you have to be careful of when you are trying to pick your study products, is making sure you get the right edition for the exam that you're about to take. When something changes on PMI, what I like about RMC is that they were on top of it. And because I was going into an exam simulator, I can't remember. I saw a message. So I went over to PMI and I'm like, what's changing? Because I was just going to let this roll until 2021. And then I saw, oh, the exam is changing in January. So I'm like, oh, snap. They're coming out with new study material. I'm not buying that new. I need to get this scheduled by December. And so I just went out there and jumped on top of it, because other than that, I was just messing off and I was messing around. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to have been doing. But yeah, I mean, like 12 weeks would be good, I think. And if you can get the exam simulator, okay. If you can't and you use the book, okay. Just try to, if you want to time yourself or something like that, they have tips in here to tell you what you can do when you're practicing, because they are like, don't do it too many times going through. You can take all the tests all at once. I actually took my test at the end of each chapter and figure out what part of like that knowledge area was a weakness for me, because there would always be something, and I would have to go back and do the review and all this other stuff. But I wanted to share that with you guys, and to anybody who's taking the PMP exam in 2021, good luck, or 2021 in the future, good luck. But they also have the CAPM exam study material on Rita McKay's site. I was very, very, very impressed when my exam actually came up, and the questions, and I kept waiting on something that would throw me off. And I honestly could say if I missed something, it was because I overlooked some part of that question, or I just didn't know it at all. It was part of one of those sections of like, I don't know about that. I got 200 of these bad boys. There's some I can throw out. But I did want to say, I actually, as nervous as I was before, when I saw the questions, I was like, I got this. I got this. By my first break, I was humming along and just ready to do it. And so good luck to you guys. Remember, 10th edition is what's next in 2021. And also beware of shopping on Amazon for RMC products. You don't want it from Amazon, get it from their site, but check with your employer. But they do have CAPM as well as PMP and all the other ones, because they had some other stuff like program and portfolio and all that other stuff. Like they have many, many things. So look up all the stuff, read all the things, and then set your goals and get to it. Don't be like me. Don't be like me. I eventually did it, but a fire got lit up under me because I almost messed up. But anyway, I will talk to you guys later. But this is going to go up on Wednesday, so I will talk to you guys on Thursday, because I got a paycheck to paycheck budget coming up. And good luck to all of y'all, and I hope this is helpful. Y'all have a great one. Bye.